All right, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are back. Fell off for about 2 weeks. That's what happens. I rented my camera, so I didn't have it here for a couple nights. Then I got out of the rhythm, and then bada bing, bada boom, all of a sudden you haven't done it in 2 weeks. So wanted to hop back in here because I think I had a meaningful day today that I wanted to share. And I think this will tie into a bigger topic. The topic is going to be going all in on stuff versus dabbling, with a side slant topic of trusting yourself and trusting your own intuition. Now, here's the problem with today's day and age. It's a blessing and a curse, really. There is more information out there than ever. More really good information, I'll add. You have world-renowned experts teaching you how to do things left and right. You've got very inspiring people who are very good communicators, blowing up your Instagram reels. And amongst all of these voices, it can be kind of challenging to hear yourself, hear your own voice. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately as I kind of navigate my, let's call it like mid to late 20s. I'm 27 now. And I've come to a couple of realizations. One, no one is going to be able to tell you what to do with your life. You're not going to find the answer in a book, in a podcast. At best, when people give you advice, they're giving you a proxy for what they experienced, right? They're trying to pass on their experience to you, but they have completely different context than you do. And the only person that fully knows your context, what you've been through, what your real desires are, what your skills are, where you see yourself, is you. You're the only person that knows. And so when you try to outsource these bigger decisions and find solace in other voices, you're missing the greatest input of all, which is yours. And so that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately, and how to kind of get back in touch with myself. Like for me, I think I've had kind of like waves of it where I've, sometimes I trust myself and I follow my gut, and sometimes I don't. And funny enough, it seems to me that all the times that I've trusted myself have more or less worked out pretty good in the end. I can think of several big examples. Moving to San Diego to go to school, moving to New York instead of LA 2 years ago, deciding to go be a freelance videographer instead of getting a computer science internship, asking my girlfriend out, like asking her to go on this trip when I didn't know her. Well, I knew her, but we had never hung out in person, and I asked her to come on this trip, and we ended up, basically dating after that. So all of these decisions were made with my gut. And I can think back to the LA decision specifically. I had made that decision with my mind at first, and I was like, I'm going to bump this up. It's a little bit dark. Bam. Even darker. Bam, 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 bam. I had made the LA decision with my mind, my brain. I was like, well, I'm going to move to LA. It makes sense. Bigger city nearby. It's SoCal still. I can kind of like translate my network up there. I can come back down if I need to still. And I had like thought myself into it, and I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But the whole time I was saying yes to that, my gut, my stomach, my body was saying no. It was like, dude, I was having so much resistance to the idea, and I was really struggling to get excited by it. I was like, that's fine. And then I happened to be in New York for a couple of days around that same time when I was making this decision. Actually, after I'd already made the decision, I told people, I'm going to LA, I'm done. See you later. And I was in New York rather, and I spent 2 or 3 days here. I had time to walk around, just like soak up the city. And I was like, fuck, New York is so sick. I felt this like magnetic pull to it. And, in that instance, I did listen to my gut. I did. I remember I filmed this video. I was in this hotel in Brooklyn one night, and I kind of had the moment. I was like, wow, I should move here. Like, I should actually do that. Because I threw it out once as a joke. Oh, yeah, I should move. I was like, no, I should actually do it. If I ever want to live here, I should just do it now. And then I filmed like this little video in that room. And I was like, this was the moment in the very room where I decided that I'm going to move to New York instead of LA. And fast forward 2.5 years later, I've loved it. I think it was the greatest call for me. I think I would have not been miserable in LA. I think I would have figured it out, but New York has been such a special like journey for me and chapter for me. So really glad I listened to my gut there. Now, what I'm currently kind of like thinking about is with my kind of like career trajectory. I've been kind of a videographer, video agency runner, whatever you want to call it. Basically been doing video projects for the past 2019, so like 6 years, is that right? 2019, 2018, 2018. I think 2019 2019. So I started in 2019, it's 2025, so like 6 years. So a good chunk. It's like kind of my first chapter of my career. And about 2 years ago, when I was on tour, I got off of tour, end of 2022. So like going into 2023, I could tell that I needed to change. I needed to shift it up a little bit. I didn't necessarily know what it was, but my gut was saying something new needs to happen. And I got off tour, and then I kind of turned down any other touring opportunities I had. And I was like, I gotta move cities, I gotta shake up the energy. I'm gonna move to New York. And I moved here. And if we're being honest, I kind of thought that something magical was just gonna happen career-wise. Like I was gonna, I don't know, like meet like Jimmy Fallon or something and just like start working for him, like something like that. I was kind of like, I'm sure it'll happen to New York. And a lot of great things happened, but I never got swept under Jimmy Fallon's arm. So he might even be in LA. I don't even know where his show's filmed, but you get the point. And so kind of fast forward 2.5 years, I have made progress, but not the type of kind of like breakthrough progress that, you know, that you look for when you're thinking of like, oh, I want to make a shift. Like, and so I don't want to like, I guess I don't want to like downplay the progress I've made. I made a lot of progress, and I have definitely excelled or like propelled my video career, but I think I got more in me in like a different sector of life. I specifically have always been intrigued by like creating products and selling products. And I did a little stint like 2-3 years ago where I made hats that's a make video horizontal again. It was like this whole kind of like super niche movement that actually like kind of took off, and we sold like 1,000 hats. And then I ended up like selling that hat company to one of the customers, two of the customers who are great guys, and they're still running it. But honestly, I didn't quite have a vision for it. It just is something I wanted to try to see if I could sell something. But like if I could do it again, I would have, now knowing that, you know, there's actually legs to it, I would have chosen something that actually has potential to be like a full-blown company. Because I did a lot of the work, a lot of the setup of, you know, running a products business and learning some of the things. So all this to say, I have a desire to get into the product space, to sell something. I don't know what it is. I just like the idea of like making something real, selling it. I like that it's not selling your time, just because when you're a videographer, you're straight up just selling your time. You can try to scale that into like an agency model, but agency models are very tricky, especially if you don't have a really super refined offering of like, we make this type of video. And because the way I built my business has been very broad, it's been quite challenging to try to like outsource and productize, systemize the whole thing. So that's the story for another day. But all that being said, I have basically the past couple of years been a dabbler. I've dabbled in a bunch of different things, a bunch of little side things. And honestly, most of them have like kind of worked. Like most of them have gotten some sort of, a couple of customers at the bare minimum, up to, you know, 20 plus customers. Like I can find, I'm really good at doing like 0 to 1, like having an idea, making like a small version of it, and then, you know, getting some early traction, early customers. But where I struggle is going from that point to like, okay, let's make this a real thing. And I had like a big kind of like journaling moment today. And again, I'm mostly saying this so that my future self and kids can watch this back. And hopefully this is like a cool kind of like pivot point trajectory thing that I would have liked to have seen my thoughts at the time. I think it'd be interesting. But I was journaling today on it, and I kind of realized that fear is the thing that keeps me from fully trying any of these things. It's very comfortable and very kind of safe where I'm at. I've carved this little niche, this little lane for myself as a freelance videographer. It's steadily growing. And so I think my ego gets in the way when I think of doing some of these other things where like kind of deep down I know that I want to kind of jump into something and really give it a go and really go all in. But I have this kind of like other side of me that's like, oh, play it safe. Like, you got a good thing going. You know, it's steadily growing. But I know, you know, I have a deeper kind of like feeling about this sort of thing. But I ignore it and I hide from it and I distract myself from it. And these are all kind of like realizations I've come to is like, I've been hiding from that feeling, distracting myself from it, going just far enough with some of these like little side hustles, but not ever far enough where there's like risk of failure, because it's a lot easier to do something and just like have it be a little side thing. And then like, if it doesn't work, it's like, well, it's just a side hustle. I wasn't even trying, you know? You can save your ego a little bit. Versus if you're like, I went all in on that and I really thought it was a good idea and I really tried and I put my all into it and it didn't work. That's a lot harder to sit with. But honestly, that's where all the growth is. And so I feel kind of like foolish because I've been hiding from all the things that are, you know, actually help you grow. So all that to say, where I got to today was I did this thought experiment, which is a fruitful one if you are kind of in a similar spot where you're like not fully happy with the path you're on. And I think this is a common problem. Like everyone has different categories of their life. I'm specifically talking about like career work stuff, but this applies to any category. What happens when you're not quite satisfied is there's this comfortable middle, let's call it, of things are pretty good. So like you could have, let's say this is rock bottom and this is like everything is amazing, I'm crushing it, I'm living my fullest potential, I'm growing every single day. There's this like middle section where it's like, well, things are going pretty good. And, you know, I'm growing steadily and that's great. The tricky thing about the middle section is it's a trap because you don't have the activation energy to really get your ass up and start making changes. And you're not in the positive where you're like already on the trajectory you want to be and it's just a matter of keeping going. You're in the middle where you're like, nah, things are just good enough. And I wrote about this a while back. I wrote a piece called the mid-20s Comfort Trap after I had a bunch of conversations over Christmas break with a lot of my like friends, some friends, but some just like acquaintances from high school. And I noticed it in a lot of the conversations, but like I'm obviously not better than anyone else because I'm also experiencing the same thing. And that's why it's a trap. You don't see it coming. Yeah, it feels like you're fine, but I think deep down we know. So all that to say, here's the thought exercise to do to get yourself out of the comfort trap. You have to, there's this quote that says, when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of doing nothing, you'll start to change. And so basically what you want to do is rub some dirt in the wound, some salt in the wound, and just really take yourself from the kind of like comfort trap down into the like, holy shit, something needs to change. Because then down there, there's like an unlock of energy that you can find. But if you stay in the comfort trap, you'll never get it. And so the thought exercise is this: if I changed absolutely nothing about my life, where would I be in 5 years? Where would I be in 10 years? If I didn't make any changes, if I just followed the same path, assuming no lucky breaks happen, like you just kind of like all the things you're doing today, you keep doing. Where would my life take me? Where would I be in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever? And what I did is I took that path, or I kind of like played that out in my mind and wrote it down and made it like the worst case scenario, basically. What you're trying to do here is increase the kind of perception of how bad the path that you're on is. I know it sounds extreme, but this is helpful. So you say, okay, where'd I be? Well, this. Well, this would go south. Well, I'd, be broke, dead, and homeless, whatever. Like you basically just like map it out where you would be going if you stayed in your current path. And then it kind of starts to make the other options look way better, because you're like, well, now I'm not measuring against, being right here comfortable today. I'm measuring against, or kind of like comparing options against this 10-year vision of like, holy shit, like that sounds horrible. So anything would be better than that. So I gotta start trying something else then. Because really, I think what holds us back from doing getting out of the comfort zone is the fear of it not working, or the fear of what other people are gonna say, or da-da-da. And so I did this today, and I kind of came to the realization that I am a chronic dabbler because it keeps me safe. If I'm always dabbling, like I just said, if I'm always dabbling, there's no fear of it not working. And I can't be like that anymore, because I'll never actually make anything meaningful if I'm always dabbling. I don't want to be like, I don't want to tell my kids one day, oh yeah, your dad just like, he's always tinkering on something, but like they never really come to fruition. That's not the type of person I want to be. I want to be the guy that goes all in on something, regardless of if he knows it's going to work or not, but he has some sort of conviction, some sort of inner intuition that this is a good idea. He's validated as much as he can, and he goes for it. And then whatever happens, happens. Like I honestly, I can live with it. If you go all in and it doesn't work, that's fine. It's way better than dabbling in it for, until it just fizzles away. And so that's kind of where I got to. It's like, I can't be a dabbler anymore. From this day on, I'm not a dabbler. Which kind of, I can feel my kind of like stomach sinking saying that, because historically I've been a dabbler. And I've decided I'm going to give myself 5 months till the end of the year, basically, to give this project I'm working on right now an all-in effort. Now it makes no money, so yet it's made like a little money, but I believe it could be something. And in order for that to happen, though, it needs some all-in attention. And also, I just think I need to become the type of guy who's all in on stuff. And so the only way to do that is to start being all in on stuff. And so yeah, I've decided from now until the end of the year, I'm going to be all in on this project. I will still service my current video clients to the best of my abilities, but in terms of like extra energy outside of like, I'm not going to be doing as much outbound, I'm not going to be doing as much business development for new video projects. I'm going to go all in with my extra time outside of like my current, I'm always going to fulfill my current video responsibilities and with clients I have. Luckily, I love all the people I work with right now, so I will keep crushing it for them. But in terms of like taking on new projects or, going out and trying to like spark new business development for video projects, I'm going to put that on hold for the time being and invest all my extra time in making this thing work. And I'm going to give it a real go. And then in 5 months, if it doesn't have traction or if it's not looking like it's going to pan out, then I can be like, all right, I tried. Like, this is not a good idea. Or this is not what I thought it was, or this is whatever. Like, I'll know better after 5 months of trying. I've been working on it for 2 months, and it's been very exciting and fun, and I really like what we're putting out. And I think there's a market for what we're making. So yeah, that is where I came to from my kind of like journaling today, and just like a culmination of a lot of thoughts I've been having lately. The last piece of this all is kind of tying back to the first piece, which is just following your intuition. Someone framed it like this, and I thought that was really interesting. They said, your body, the way you feel, like when these little kind of gut feelings come up, is basically like a 10,000-year-old machine that has passed along all of its learnings from generation to generation to become this like super intelligent like being that we can't even comprehend, like including our mind, our subconscious mind, our body. Like there's all this like kind of like ability to understand things that we don't even understand how it all works. But these gut feelings and these kind of like the way we perceive things is actually can be very accurate a lot of times. Because your body, there's this book called The Body Keeps the Score. Like your body remembers everything. And we are kind of like just like dismissing it when we don't listen to it. So I'm working on listening to my inner intuition so that I can become the person I'm meant to be the person that I'm meant to be. And I think it's going to be awesome and scary, but awesome. All right, that's my big TED Talk for tonight. I'm also trying to get better at speaking. I'm trying to get better at looking straight at the camera, trying to get better at using my hands just enough, not too much, keeping the conversation kind of flowing, talking in sound bites, coming to a stop after sentences. I edit a lot of videos, and so I know when people ramble between sentences, this can be really choppy to edit. So I'm trying to become the dream speaker that me as an editor would have loved to have. That's all I got. Hopefully I can hop back on board with these, but again, all my time's going to this side project. On the next one, I'll tell you all about the side project, what it is. I probably shouldn't call it a side project anymore. It's a project that I'm working on, that I'm all in on. And we'll see what we can make of it. All right. Have a good night.